All right, you guys, as usual, this is going to be so much more than a Vanderpump Season 11, Episode 8 recap. Oh, yes, I have some gossip sound bites and clips to share with you before we begin. The first 15 minutes of this video is a gossip dump, which I think you'll really enjoy if you watched tonight's show. And if you didn't and you just want the recap, I suppose you could go halfway through and watch the last bit of the video after 15, and that's the recap part, okay? So I hope that helps you in enjoying this video. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button, and let's get dirty, shall we? Because I have some dirt. So the first thing that came out this last week everybody was talking about was Allie dropping a little bit of her single girls song that Sheana Shea is going to be in the video. I'll play a little clip of it in a minute. But needless to say, it was kind of ironic, of course, that Sheana Shea was acting as the backup singer and sort of dancer, in air quotes, for Allie after she dragged Ariana Madix in her confessional video and said kind of a good to see you made it, to the front after being my backup dancer or whatever in a previous episode. So it was kind of a drag against Ariana Madix by Sheana Shea, who's feeling very jealous of Ariana Madix because of Dancing with the Stars. But then somebody also sent me a soundbite that Sheana Shea sounds like she's talking about Dancing with the Stars, and doesn't sound like she was going to be on Dancing with the Stars as much as she thought she was, and she's playing it out on camera this season. So I'll play that in a minute. But first, let's start with this quick clip. Now, some other amazing influencers noticed that Lala, Kent, and Sheana Shea sound like they completely have done a 360 from what they were saying before they started shooting season 11 season. Listen to this.
Buddy, you can't be friends with homeboy anymore. Schwartz went and did it. I cut him off. A lot of people didn't understand it. Now Ariana's in that situation saying, if you choose to hang out with Sandoval, which we know he will, you can't be around me. It's not really saying you can and can't do this. Just know if you choose wrong, you're not around me. Yeah. It's very simple. Yeah. And you have every right to feel that way and to expect that from your friends. That's not too much to ask. We all do. Yeah. And there will come a point in time for everybody where something happens and you look at the group around you and say, it's A or B. And if you ain't picking the letter I want you to, get away from me. Yeah. Totally.
Just to be fair to Sheana Shea, I'd say that she really felt this way, but she has to do what her producers want, and I'd say they're making her warm up to Sandoval so he has someone to shoot with, so there's still a show. So to be fair, I'd say that soundbite represents how she really feels. And then some other fans noticed that Sheana Shea brings up the upfronts and not being loved by her castmates a lot. Look at this.
The show started, and we were at our first upfronts in New York.
Our first year we did upfronts here.
First year of upfronts when we were all in New York.
It was my first season of Vanderpump Rules. We were at this big upfronts event.
And I had no friends there. I had Sandoval.
I wasn't talking to any of my cast. Everyone hated me at the time. My whole cast, they hated me when the show started.
We were doing the red carpet. No one wanted me in the photos.
They're all hanging out together, and I was just by myself sitting in the corner. There was only one of them, Tom Sandoval, who was nice to me at the time.
Sandoval was the only person who even welcomed me into photos with this group.
I was there by myself and had no friends.
And he put his arm around me and he pulled me in. He was just like, no, you're a part of this. You're with all of us.
Well, hold on.
Are you serious right now?
Sheana, that was literally. But I'm saying I don't forget those things. I know, but let's try.
So thank you. You know who you are for sending all these wonderful clips. But now you know why I said that. Let me play you another fib before we move on to the recap. And it's also funny because it turns out that Jax's whole story about sitting down with Alex Baskin and Lisa Vanderpump 2 years ago, where they came up with the concept of the valley and his dreams were all coming true. Turns out that's a lie. Listen to this.
I will say this. Before we got fired and all of that went down, Vanderpump Rules was supposed to transition into a new show called that was going to be called
Valley or
Valley
whatever.
Rules or whatever. And our wedding was going to be the start of that new show. So it was going to be...
Because you guys live in Valley Village?
I mean, I don't.
You don't, but everyone else
But
does.
a lot of the people do. And so they were going to slowly transition us and have like, and keep Vanderpump Rules with a whole new cast of people who work at the restaurant.
Younger people, like
Yes.
fresh to Sir.
Yeah. And then so the rest of us would transition into this. The way that like Vanderpump Rules started, where it was
Right.
like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills,
Yep.
and it transitioned into Vanderpump.
Valley
That's what we were
Rules.
going to do with my wedding.
That is juicy.
So that's not happening either at this
Obviously.
point.
Like half the cast got fired. Oh my God, that is like such a juicy piece. Thanks for sharing that.
So Stassi on the toast kind of telling a different story. Jax made it sound like, from the way he told it, that he invented the idea and took it to Alex and Lisa Vanderpump 2 years ago. And the next thing you know, they were making the show around him and Brittany Cartwright. But it doesn't sound like that was actually the case. Thought you'd find that interesting. So for you guys who are going to wait for the recap, I just want to say there's a scene at the end I'm going to tell you about where Jax comes in on the high horse and kind of comes for Tom Sandoval and really drags him for like 5 minutes and then sort of is showing his inspirational lifestyle, which we're all dying, of course, because it's landing completely wrong now that we know that Brittany Cartwright's living in an Airbnb and he allegedly cheated on her a few times, which has also been confirmed in this season of Vanderpump Rules, that the girls have heard those rumors too. And we believe we're going to get indicators of that also on the current season of The Valley. And it's like a mess. Like the only thing he's got going for him is the bar Jax, I guess. I mean, it's definitely not profitable yet, right? Because it's a new bar. But he's also lost his wife and his kid for a while. And let's not even get into the drama that happened with Randall Emmett, right? So I was like watching this scene and I'm dying. But we'll get to that. Now, there's been lots of gossip sent to me lately about Vanderpump Rules because of these videos. Let me share some shocking ones with you. Number one, Ariana, Madix, and Tom Sandoval's relationship was non-existent at the beginning of season 10. Yes. And this comes from someone who would know. So I was shocked. I mean, really know. And then I found out that people block their scenes in Vanderpump Rules. Like, that means they tell you where to stand, sit, how to walk in, what they're looking for you to sort of do in the scene. We didn't have any of that in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills land. So this show is way more produced than I thought. Brock Davies and Sheana Shea allegedly practice their scenes. Did you know that? So we see a scene tonight, which I'll tell you later about, where Jax is given a samurai sword by Tom Sandoval. And I was like, oh, another gift. And I wanted to play this for you. This is Kristen Doty talking about the gift she got from Sandoval. As we know, there's a pattern of gift giving with him. We've discussed this in previous Gossip Dump recaps I've done. Listen.
If I told you this or not. So I believe it was my second to last season on Vanderpump Rules. There was a Witches of WeHo wine party. Katie, Saucy, and I were not getting along. So to be very transparent, at that time, I had been demoted that season from an episodic paid cast member to a day rate. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs because money's fucking weird and honestly, it's none of y'all's business. But I love you. So that episode, I was in, but like barely. And so I did get paid, but Tom Sandoval happened to be there and he was in it for like a blink of an eye, like a half a second, which didn't even cross my mind. But cut to when that episode aired and he was in it for just a second and he got paid his episodic rate. Tom and I weren't even, we've never been like super, super tight friends since our breakup, but we were like buddies and Ariana and I were friends. And so it was great. I randomly, without him telling me, I get this PayPal for a few $1,000s from Tom Sandoval. And I'm like, what the fuck? This has to be like a mistake. I think he made a mistake. So I text him and I was like, hey dude, I don't know who you meant to send this to, but this came to mind, so I sent it back. He then finally texts me however long later and says, no, I meant to send that to you. I'm going to send it again, which I didn't accept it, so everyone knows, but kind of now I wish I would have. But he sent it to me because he said he did not think it was fair that he got paid his full episodic payment for being in the episode for a split second when I carried that episode on my back and only got paid nickels in comparison. I remember if I told you this or not. So I believe it was.
So that's really important to note. I mean, first of all, I want to mention that Ariana Madix was involved with the giving of that money to Kristen. She said this. She said Tom and her talked about it and felt like they both should give it. And I guess it was Tom who actually sent the money, but it came also from Ariana. So I want to say that. But wow. But she's not the only one who's been kind of screwed in the money department. Listen to this. This is Peter Madrigal.
Reach out. Yeah. There's been a lot of talk just that you weren't asked to return to this season of Vanderpump Rules. So I have a lot of questions on this, but was Lisa aware?
Let's get it right. I was asked to return, but they didn't have any money in the budget for me.
Yes. Well, yeah. So at that point, it's like, don't even ask me, you know? Was Lisa aware of this?
I'm not sure if she was aware or not. That's like something that I don't know about.
Did you talk to her after you were approached and said like, hey, we're not going to pay you?
No, because I hadn't seen her, so I don't know what happened as far as that's concerned, and why there was a disconnect. I just kind of, at that moment in time, it kind of put me in a really dark place.
Yeah.
Between the months of April and May, it put me in a really, I was not in a good place. Let's just put it that way. And because you've been working on something for 10 years and then all of a sudden, 10 seasons, and all of a sudden they say, oh, you're not needed anymore. And yeah, it was not, I created a veneer, a little bit of a veneer during that point in time where I was, trying to have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was going out a lot, and but it wasn't the best time for me.
Right.
But I always I always cover that part up, and now I'm talking about it because it's so far removed now from my life, and I decided, okay, well, you know what? Now it's time I can reveal a little bit of what I was going through at that moment in time.
Huh.
So,
Did it come as a
So sad. So sad. That's the All About the TRH girls that did that interview if you want to go watch it. So let's listen to one more gossip soundbite. This is Sheana Shea talking about the Valley, the cast member Janet and her husband Jason. Sheana knew Janet from before, and this is the story of their falling out. I thought it would interest you. Threesomes do come up in the show tonight, and I will be telling you more about those in a minute. But let me play this for you.
And she was on Vanderpump with me, but then she started becoming friends with Dana. And then there was like I'm going to have a threesome with Dana and Max, and things that were just rubbing me the wrong way. And I was like, and she didn't. But it just started to get a little weird. And then we went into a pandemic shortly after season 8 and just kind of went our separate ways for a bit. And since we've come back together, it's like we can look back and laugh at some of these things. Janet is someone I met a couple years ago at a pool party. We just instantly hit it off.
All right, I have the sewing machine. You want me to set it up over here?
Yeah, that's perfect. We are inseparable.
And then she went on to say that she had asked them she wants to have a threesome
With Max and also with Janet. Janet, what do you think about threesomes?
I love them.
You love them? Love it. What are you doing later? Just kidding.
Oh, by the way, I heard Lisa Vanderpump's Villa Rosa is still being pocket listed if you know someone. Somewhere Lisa's going, croissant. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will soon. Okay, so the first thing to note about tonight is it's the transition episode to launch the Valley. So they on purpose have been slowly introducing the Valley concept and some of the players in that show on Vanderpump Rules to make the transition for everybody to watch the Valley. Okay. And you know the story now from what I played you earlier. So we begin with Ariana leaving the house with Tom Sandoval because he's having a party. Ariana calls the party the Sexy Singles Pool Party, although he doesn't call it that. But the idea is that Tom Sandoval is going to bring some women over that he met out, that he thinks are hot and he would like to date. One in particular, I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, what's going on is Ariana gets wind that Katie is going out with Lala Kent post their big fight at Allie's star chart get together because Katie and Lala came for each other because Katie didn't like that Lala was standing up for Sandoval and felt it was hypocritical. And Lala didn't like that Katie was coming for her and not just relaxing. And I think Katie was sick of the fact that Lala keeps drawing Randall Emmett comparisons into every scene of everything happening on the Vanderpump Rules storyline. She's like, enough already. Like, you've really milked the Randall thing for a very long time, and I'm tired. And that's really what's coming across. I think it's genuine. That one. So the women sit across each other at the Henry and they kind of eye each other for a minute. And what ends up happening is Lala Kent says, look, sometime we're going to say something that we both regret because we're both very similar and we're not on the same team at the moment. And I'm worried we won't come back from it. And Katie sort of agrees with this. And Katie's like, I know I have a toxic trait where I can look for someone's Achilles heel and hurt them deeply and be aggressive like that. And Lala realizes she's been wearing the Randall Emmett situation like a badge of honor, and it may be a lot for people, and she maybe needs to tone that down. And we sort of end it there. They have not a solid apology necessarily. It was more like just two friends that have a lot of history trying to maintain their ground but still care for each other. But we already know that this is not going to work out because Lala was seen partying with Sheana Shea and no one else after the reunion. So I'd say they went against Katie and Ariana, team against team. So they came up with a safe word as a solution, which was croissant. Now you know what I was talking about Lisa. And I guess it didn't work at the reunion. These are the two girls that Tom Sandoval invites over to his pool party. Schwartz dips out because he doesn't want to be associated with the fact that Tom Sandoval's, trying to pick up women in his own house instead of going out like any other normal person and meeting them out in LA. It seems like a dig at Ariana trying to hook up with women while you're in the same house as her, especially considering that you cheated on your girlfriend in that house also. So Tom Schwartz is like, I want no part of it. He leaves. And these are the two girls that Tom Sandoval goes for. And I think the one in the red mainly. Here's another picture of one of the girls. I thought it would be interesting for you to know his type. We also meet Billy Lee's girlfriend, who Tom Sandoval gets caught with the paparazzi with later. And so she makes an appearance, and I think we're going to see him going on a date with her is my feeling on that. Here she is. This is the girl that's also at the party, but he gives her no mind, although Billy Lee does bring her up to him like, I'm trying to set you up with this girl, and she's over there in the corner, and he gives her no attention, only focuses on the blonde girls. But later we know he does go on a date with her. Whether that makes it on the show or not, I don't know, but he does see her a few times in LA and I guess in Nashville. So we see Anne being made to clean up Tom Sandoval's mess. The house is awful from the party. And you feel bad for Anne, but thank goodness she leaves Tom. We know this later. Ariana invites Katie over and leaves the room when Tom Sandoval comes downstairs from his workout. And Katie gives him a lot of SHIT for everything he's done to Ariana and her to do with Schwartz. Tom Sandoval tries to apologize to Katie for not being better to her during the divorce with Tom Schwartz, but Katie's not having it. She wants nothing to do with him. She's like, why don't you do it in your actions and not your words? I'm so sick of your BS. And that's where it ends. So then we see a scene where Sheana Shea comes over to talk to Ariana Madix because she wants to broach the topic of becoming friends with Tom Sandoval. Ariana senses it, and she's sort of like, I'm not going to give you a pass, okay? And I mean, I think at this point in my video, you probably have figured out why. I think what happens next is that Sheana says she's upset that Ariana did not reach out to her when she got casted on Dancing with the Stars. And Ariana seems to allude to the fact that she had an NDA and couldn't tell Sheana Shea. But I guess friend to friend, you kind of can see where Ariana should have told Sheana if she knew that meant a lot to her. But maybe based on the gossip I just played you, she didn't think Sheana Shea was ever going to be on Dancing with the Stars because she was banned for some reason. I just want to say that gossip came from Steph with the Deets, in case you want to go check her out.
2023. Long story short, 5 years ago, I had a pen in my purse. They said I couldn't bring them onto federal property. They took my ID. They put me in their system. They said I was banned, and I thought it was a lifetime ban to never come back. I've now found out it was only a 90-day ban, so I could have been going back to the show, but I was terrified to go back. When Teresa and Heidi D'Amelio and Shangela, all of these people I knew were on Dancing with the Stars last season. Gabby, I wanted to go back to the show, so I did. My name was still on the list.
Okay, I'm just in shock that Sheana Shea managed to get herself banned from Dancing with the Stars. Have you ever been to that show? Oh my God, they make you sit there for hours and it's so long. I actually was like begging them to let me leave. I was like, please let me leave. I felt like a hostage. Then the cast gets together and everyone is shocked because Ariana Madix shows up. And Tom Sandoval especially is not expecting it. He can't stop staring at Ariana. Ariana is not giving him any time. She's just hobnobbing with the cast. Tom Schwartz is really uncomfortable. He's trying to calm Tom Sandoval down. And we see really a lot of uncomfortable dynamics that I think were really there amongst the cast members on interacting with both Ariana and Tom in this climate. Sheana Shea does her best. She goes up to Tom Sandoval and says, you need to apologize to Katie for being a jerk to her when Schwartz and her were divorcing. You were really insensitive. And she says, can't you see your fault in some of that? And then she says, and you cheated on your girlfriend and did that to all of us. And that was another thing she was really upset about. And then she also said, can't you own that maybe you manipulated Rachel Leviss? Can't you see that could have been something you did? And just take some ownership in it. And Tom's like, no, I won't take it. And he's sort of on the brink of taking it because it's Sheana asking, but he doesn't really take accountability, gets pissed, and leaves in a huff. But it's at this point that we find out that Tom Sandoval is really going to prioritize Sheana Shea going forward because he needs her. And he makes that pretty damn clear. So we learn this in this episode that he's going to prioritize what she wants, but not the other cast members. So there's a few sidebars I'll throw in. We see Schwartz and Joe on a sort of date, but they're really friends. And Joe seems to be really in love with Tom Schwartz, or wanting more, I should say. And Tom is sort of being like, I love you, you're the best, I'd love to marry you, but I'm not going to ever do any of those things, and I'm going to keep you in the friend box. And so we sort of see Joe kind of hanging out, and it's just sad, and you feel bad for Joe. And also nobody likes Joe in the friend group because she's kind of different than the rest. She doesn't have that cool factor. Allie reaches out to her and does a reading with her and tries to kind of bridge the gap between the friendship groups, but it ain't happening. And Joe is definitely not going to be a longtime player on the show, and maybe that's why Tom Schwartz didn't like her. So then we see Tom Sandoval, and he's crying in his room with Tom Schwartz there because he's looking at pictures of him and Rachel Leviss, and he's wanting her so badly but cannot be with her, and he realizes it's over, and he bawls his eyes out in the closet and on the pictures, and he's like, I love her, and I can't believe I can't be with her, and I want things to be back the way they were in those photos. And Schwartz is like, I don't know what to say to him. He's a mess. And then they both leave. And as they're leaving, Ariana's having a game night. And they play a game. Oh, God, game night. Ugh. Triggering. No, I'm kidding. They have a game night. And they're playing that game, would you ever, whatever. And if you drink, it means that you've done it. And I guess the cool thing that I caught, because I didn't catch all of it, was that Brock had been a part of like a threesome, and Sheana had been in a threesome with a famous musician, and she made a shout out to Wonderland. She said, I guess my body was a wonderland, so I guess that's a hint of the celebrity that she had a threesome with. God, Sheana gets around, just saying. It's pretty obvious that it's John Mayer, and I guess she must have met John through Bravo because he's best friends with Andy Cohen. I mean, it isn't a stretch to think that happened. Well, we know he had a reputation for being a ladies' man for sure. I used to always see him here at Dan Tana's. Whenever you see a drunk, old, nostalgic paparazzi video of me hammered talking to the Paps, I'm always in front of this place. Oh, this place or Katsuya? What was the other one? Oh, Soho House. That's the other one they used to always get me at. Sometimes Santa Monica. Oh, those were the days. So then we see Jax Taylor and Tom Sandoval get together with the boys. I think they're at Tom Tom's. And essentially Jax says the following. His advice to Tom Sandoval, don't be a cheater. Act like you're your age. Stop wearing white nail polish. I don't want your advice for running my bar, Jax. And I am the best that I have ever been. And if you follow my advice, you will be too. Okay, Jax. Thanks for your great advice as we flush it down the toilet. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave it there. I need to do another gossip video and I'm starving. Yes, nothing like frozen food dinners.